everyone. Good morning and good evening. Welcome to the today's demo of our safety and pharmacovigilance system. I am Kapil Pateria, Senior Manager Clinical Solutions at Cloudbyz. I have a experience of more than 10 years in this space. Uh, my role involves overseeing the development and implementation of our cloud-based solutions, along with the driving strategies initiative that leverage the technology to address evolving needs of our industry. Over the next 30 minutes, we will explore how our system helps streamlining the reporting and management of various types of adverse events and other safety aspects, which helps ensuring patient safety and regulatory compliance. Before we jump into the demo, it's a overall process of pharmacovigilance. First, let's begin with a brief overview. So variety of cases comes from variety of sources. It could be from spontaneous reports, clinical trials, it could be from patient registries, literatures, safety call centers, and other variety of sources. These cases get entered and these cases are processed. So there are various processes in terms of data entry, quality review, medical review, which happen in most of the pharmacovigilance systems. Now, these cases, when they get entered, they also get assessed by a variety of people, which involve if there are data entry personnel, quality reviews, and medical personals. They assess the cases in terms of the coding, medical coding, as well as causality, expectedness assessments. And overall, the case can also be assessed while writing a narrative for a particular case. Once the case assessment is complete, they get submitted into a various kind of reports through a submissions. These reports could be in variety of formats like PDF formats, XML formats. It could be in Excel also, Excel formats also, and in terms of local reports, which can be smaller regulatory agencies can have their own regulatory formats. So in terms of PDF reports, SIOMS, MedWatch are classic example for that. Whereas in terms of XMLs, E2B XMLs, it could be E2B, R2, and R3 XMLs can be. When in terms of medical devices, it is MDCG, which is prominently submitted to the regulators. Once the reporting and submissions of the cases is done, this can also be visualized in various reports and dashboards. Further data analysis can also leads into the aggregate analysis for and signal management and risk and benefit analysis of the required cases. Now, this is the overall pharmacovigilance process, which day-to-day life these pharmacovigilance companies as well as the pharmaceutical companies which are liable to submit their safety information to the regulators follow. Moving into the cloud-based safety and pharmacovigilance feature lists, we have automated case intake process, which can be from variety of sources. Based on the automation as well as manual creation of these cases are processed in the system, in which includes utilization of various kind of dictionaries, medical dictionaries, like for example, who drug or medra. And in terms of medical devices, IMDRF dictionaries can also be utilized. Now, system also comes with a provision of dynamic auto labeling and auto narratives for the respective cases. System gives the user configurable workflow and automation based on their standard operating procedures and their procedures which their particular departments are following. Interactive dashboards help them tracking the entire case processing mechanism as well as case submission mechanism. System has the AI and ML and NLP capabilities which can be utilized for extraction of the data from various structured as well as unstructured source documentations. System gives the submission reports prior to submitting. It can be previewed, and if there are any changes, they can also be reviewed again. The cases can be again routed back to the different workflows. And system has the monitoring and notification provisions, which gives user a prompt notification whenever a high priority cases are booked inside the cases. So regulatory reports and e-submissions as a variety of types, system has a provisions to generate these reports and submit it to the regulators. Cloud-based system can also be integrated with any of the other respective tools. Could be a electronic data capturing tool, EDCs. It could also be utilized. It could also have a patient portal, investigator portal, or sponsor portal. So patient portal can also be utilized to collect the data from the patients or investigators, and also sponsor portal can also be utilized for reviewing or assessing the data in terms of their medical assessments by the sponsors. Moving into today's demo, safety and pharmacovigilance uh, tool, we are today showcasing the case identification mechanism, case intake and processing mechanism, how the case assessments are done in the system, as well as the reporting. So we will and submissions. We will be trying to generate one report from the case. In this journey, today we are taking one clinical trial case, which can be entered inside the case as a case intake mechanism. Then their medical coding, assessment of causality and expectedness. We will showcase how the medical coding is done in terms of METRA, and we will also showcase how a report, a COMS, and one of the XML can be generated from the system. So let's deep dive into the system to showcase the actual demo. So as I have already logged in into the system, our system includes automated data intake. Our system also gives a tracking mechanism at this page, where you can track the cases which you have received from by status, by events, by months, and variety of processes. System also have a provision of approvals, where any users who are the approver, they can get a prompt notification for approving any kind of cases. So generally in terms of, if it is a quality reviewer send these cases for medical review, then medical reviewers generally approve these cases. System also gives some handy notes if they want to capture for a particular person at a quick notes facilities. Now, starting with cases directly. So I will be taking a already created case, but to create a new case from any of the sources, we we have a quick user-friendly interface where we can capture the information related to the case initially when they receive. uh, so in terms of whether which date they have received from which country, which clinical study, what is the site from they are receiving, they all this data can be captured easily. Now I will be taking a already created case here. Now system comes with variety of modules in terms of case data entry, case managements, as well as other signal management and other report generation mechanism. But starting with a case identification and case data entry, let's deep dive into the case creation and data entry process. So when we open a case, we see all the metadata which is received as a case. We have already entered this information. System gives you the provisioning of notification in terms of, if I change this particular notification system, whenever a serious case is created, system give you a prompt notification. As you can see here, we have already received that this case is marked as serious. Also system gives you a provision of email functionalities, where email to the respective users can also be uh, sent from the system. Once we have uh, created the case, system has, when the case is serious, we already have seriousness criteria which can be marked, and this seriousness criteria can also be utilized for calculation of variety of assessments. So this gives the provisioning of auto assessments in terms of whether the case is uh, related to this particular product, or this particular event is related to uh, uh, it's related to the study product. So these auto assessments are also calculated, and based on the requirement, this can be configured. Now system also comes with a variety of validations. So if it is a valid case, system also gives a user a intimation that this is a valid case, as it contains all the minimum information which can be uh, required for creating a valid case, in terms of it has a adverse event, it has a product, who has shared this information, from which particular site it is coming, all this information. There is an linked investigator details with this in the system. If you have already set it up in the system, then this can also be utilized. Now in terms of medical coding, we will move into the medical coding aspect once we can see the reporter information. Here we can see all the reporter information can be captured as per the regulatory requirements. As for submitting a case, there has to be at least one minimum primary reporter. So system already have a validation. Until and unless there is no primary reporters, the final reports will not be generated. But as for this particular case, we have already entered, and this is a case coming from a clinical trial. That's why the reporter is automatically marked into as physician. When we see the patient details, in terms of patient also have variety of metadata. In case of patient is these are patient details, their demographic details, their current medical status is also, if there are clinical study, and if this is a child case or if this is a mother and child case, then pregnancy related information can also be captured, which can also be, if there is a parents also involved in this case, then parent information can also be captured in these aspects. So let's see how system also do the medical coding. In so laboratory data can also be coded inside the system. As you can see, this hemoglobin, we have already given a provision where it's already coded, because it is the exact match in terms of medra llt codes. But if the medical codes are not uh, uh, it's not based on the requirement or based on the case data, then it can also be searched, and it can be changed into respective data. If we see this medical codes, it is a already loaded data with which comes with all the up versions of all the dictionaries. So system has a capability of doing coding in terms of various kind of dictionaries. It also comes with a file based system where you can upload the files if we receive these files. And in terms of product coding is also available with both the approaches. First is the file based system, where you can have already stored the file inside the system, which can be relooked for the product coding. Also system gives the provision if the dictionary providers has a API mechanism which can utilize the APIs to code these medications. Now moving into the aspects of variety of events in these kind of scenarios comes. So if your events is serious, then what is the metadata you want to store, what are the fields you want to store, and the system also comes with the regulatory required fields. Here also we provide the coding capabilities, where you can code your medical terms with medra, as well as if these are also device related trials, then this can be, your product can also be coded with device codings, their indication codings. Now moving into the variety of assessments, which gives you the provisioning of how the expectedness, causality, and other kind of assessments can be done. In this process, system, as you can see, the system is automatically taking several data, which is auto coding aspects. Auto assessment of the case is already happened, where we have the product and adverse event pair is automatically coded based on the, these are preset requirements which system takes. So right now the system is taking a product which is trypandone, and they are also taking the adverse events, which is a ataxia, and it also takes what is the reporter's requirement. So in this particular case, reporter is our investigator, and investigator has reported this event as unlabeled or unexpected. Thus the listedness is assessed as based on the investigator brochure. But this terms system also give the provisioning of if there is a de-challenge or re-challenge information for this product event pair. Now, in terms of assessment, both the expectedness or causality can be assessed at the same time. And system also gives you the provision whether this is a pharmaceutical company's reported assessment, whether it is a regulatory assessment. When in terms of you, the provisions are there for if regulatory cases are coming inside the system, which EMA and other regulatory agencies shared with these pharmaceutical companies. These assessments also involves determining the event as an expected outcome based on the product which they have taken in the clinical trials or previous reports. In terms of we can move this case based on the required with the processing. If this case is data is entered, this can also be made into workflow into the quality reviewer or medical reviewer around the respective assessments. And this can also be automated, as currently this is a manual case submission. That's why this is manually done. Now, if the user has already completed the review and the data entry, then they can send this case to a medical review, and simply they can send it to the medical reviewer. Medical reviewers will also get a notification in their windows and also an email confirmation that this case are assigned to them. So auto assignment of the case for the processing units are also a part of the system. In terms of uh, moving into in terms of submissions, as we go, submissions can also be taken into consideration when we are having different kind of submission mechanism. When we are submitting cases, it could be submitted in variety of formats. So as you can see, for the easier purpose, I have already defined a date. So you can define the dates and you can check which kind of cases you want to submit. If it is a big and large enterprise organizations where they have a separate submission users, they can utilize this window where they can submit cases from variety of senders, variety of product. They can filter out on the same day, they can submit multiple cases. But if it is not a requirement for from the clients, system also have a provisioning of individual case submissions, where they create an individual submission records, and they also, prior to submission, they can preview the reports. As you can see, when you preview any kind of report which is generated from the system, it has a watermarking in terms of this is not a final report, this is a draft report, and there is no marking in terms of initial or follow up or what. But it also gives you a sense of accreditation that system is generating data on which date, which person has generated these reports. System comes with a audit trail capabilities. Once the review is completed from these reports, user can finally generate the final reports and they can download them. As this particular submission is based on the COMS, as the record is already saying that which kind of regulatory report they want to generate. So here the COMS is already generated and the marking of the draft is not here, as this is a final report. Now this can be generated like a COMS or MedWatch, any such kind of reports which are PDF in nature. They can be generated. Similarly, if there are reports which can be submitted in terms of XML, as we have in this another record, we have defined this is a E2B R2 XML report. You can preview it prior to generating the final report. System will give you a provision of generating this kind of XML which can be validated prior to submission. And once this is draft report is finalized, system will give you a final report which will have more data, more validated data. And this process can be if prior to approval, if there are any approval process is in their in their work automations or in their workbenches, then these automations can also be done. These reports can automatically be generated and kept for the review. So in terms of, because it is a clinical trial cases, you might want to raise queries from the system to the investigator. You want to understand, or the PV teams or the pharmacovigilance teams where the safety data case processing is happening, they want to collect more data on this particular report. Then system also have a provision to take the queries. They can send the queries from the system and track it inside their safety systems itself, which will be linked with this particular case. And this can also be via patient portal. They can also respond to these queries via patient portal. They can also update the data of respective fields on which these queries are raised. If the user wants to follow up with the site team members, then they can follow up with the particular patients, or they can follow up with the investigators also. If any of the follow-ups are received, then these follow-up records will also be available. So when it will also serve as the tracking mechanism, when the follow-up was received, who has raised these follow-ups, whether it is a kind of amendment, whether it is a nullification, what kind of follow-ups are these. So system has these provisions, and this is overall a small. If you want more information, please reach out to our team. And this concludes our demo for the safety and PV system. We have covered in this particular process case data entry, few of the validation aspects, some of the aspects of the assessment, and how the regulatory reports can be generated. Thank you all for attending today's demo. If you have any further questions or need additional information, please feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you all for joining.